Welcome to Coffee with Dani V, everybody. Today we're going to be talking about body positivity in menopause and midlife. How do you stay positive about the way you look when everything is changing? It's a tough call, right? It's a really, really big ask for a lot of women, especially because I feel like our whole lives we've been given these messages about you're supposed to look this way, right? And you're not supposed to have periods, and you're not supposed to have body odor, and God forbid if you fart, right? Well, I'm sorry, we're humans in a body, and we do those things,
right?
And so, how do we combat the messages that we've been given already? With the fact that we're aging and society doesn't accept age as easily either.
Yeah,
right?
There's a lot of things. I think that media plays into it, what's used in advertising a lot. This kind of aspirational feel, yes, but also really, and I just totally lost every train of thought that was coming out of my head.
It's the music coming from the spa that is next door to our building. And now we're not opposed to having a spa next door because that's got some nice little perks, but you can totally hear the music blending into the studio.
Makes me want to meditate.
Yeah.
No, I think that body positivity is a big thing. And, we've got a lot of outside sources, whether subliminally or just in our faces. And we've come up with these expectations of that's how we should look and feel. And I think, for our generation, the older generations, I think that, we were exposed to it, but I think it's getting worse with the younger generations, the exposure to social media and stuff like that. And I think they're really going to have a harder time with it, with this whole body positivity, even as the message around body positivity is growing.
Yeah, I was just going to say, so that's interesting because we have daughters that are different ages. And my daughter is 25, 24, and really has embraced this idea of body positivity, but your daughter is in high school.
Yeah. And so she's, the generation underneath your daughter, and she really, I think it's TikTok, it's Instagram, it's, all these social media channels and, these influencers that are on there it's, right. It's again that, what you want to look like, essentially.
Right. And they modify themselves, right? They do the face tune and the body tune.
There's filters. Yeah. I mean, there's filters that make your face look beautiful. And then my daughter will be like, well, why doesn't my face look like her face as far as even skin texture?
Right. Why isn't my waist to hip ratio like that?
Yeah. So, with all the ways that you can edit stuff nowadays, I think that it's an interesting thing, body positivity, because we really had the inertia, the movement around body positivity for women, that I think it's almost getting lost in the younger generations. And I'm interested to see how it kind of comes to play. But, we're here in midlife. We have our own body positivity. As much as there's a narrative out there to be positive about your bodies, it's hard. Yeah. There's still many things at play to show us what we should be. Right. And then how do you come into your own with your own body, right? It is kind of what you have to figure out, unfortunately, on your own, because as much as we have this narrative out there of body positivity, and there might be imagery around that, as far as some advertising and stuff like that.
Yeah, like that Dove campaign that happened a few years ago where they had all kinds of women and all kinds of bodies. And that
one that, even models like in your clothing, all that stuff, we're starting to see more different varying body types. The most recent one that I saw that actually did it was Victoria's Secret. That they started.
A little late to the party, guys, but welcome.
They've had a big body image around very thin models. Their runway shows, everything have been very, and we've aspired to be like that because they look beautiful in those little lingerie things. And then we put them on us and we're like, what the hell just happened? It's not the same. time. So, we want to be able to look at models that are more around our body type so that we can understand it. Here's a great example that I deal with all the time. Pinterest. Okay. I love to look at Pinterest. I love to save outfits on Pinterest. And the hard part is they all look so cute in those outfits and they're all tiny. So I go and I try to make one of those outfits and like make, I don't know, what do you call it when you're recreating an outfit? Is there a word for it?
Like outfit inspo?
Yeah.
That kind of thing?
Yeah. So I go and try to recreate the look.
Right.
There you go.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to recreate the look and I do it and I'm like, that is not the same whatsoever. So I started actually changing my search so that I was trying to find women more within my body type so that I could see, because you want to look cute. We talked about this in our self-love, that for me, one of those things that helps me is finding outfits that fit my body type, and I think that plays to body positivity too. And so for me, going on Pinterest, it was like, okay, I'm going to try to find women that are more in line with my body type. And I think that works too for like shopping and, lingerie. I want to know what it looks like on my body type, not the tiny little model that pretty much looks like my teenage daughter, me after having kids and, all the things that come with midlife and, the belly fat that's coming, well, that's here. I shouldn't say coming. It's a struggle, right? To get rid of it. But body positivity comes into that self-love aspect too, in which, you've got to learn to love your body.
Yeah. And it's difficult because of social pressures, but it's also difficult, I think, especially in midlife, because stuff just starts changing.
Oh, yeah.
Things start shifting. They're, lower to the ground than they used to be, right? I look at my boobs and I'm like, didn't those used to be up here? Right?
Well, boobs are a common one. You've got the underarm, right?
Underarm thing.
I've noticed. Oh. Yep. Oh, yeah. I was noticing that in our videos. I was watching our videos. I was like, oh, I really have a little thing going on. You know what? I just do. And that's okay,
Right? And a couple other things that I'm noticing. And it's not just how I physically look, right? It's my allergies get worse as I get older with this fluctuating estrogen. And my eye will water consistently, this eye. And that drives me crazy, right?
Yeah.
I have to wear these now. I mean, I'm blind as a bat to begin with. Decades and decades of reading, but these are now a feature that must live on my face if I want to see anything on my screen, my phone screen, if I want to read anything.
So I'm on
glasses.
I'm on the opposite end of her. So I had glasses from the time I was in 5th grade. And it was about 2 years ago that I went and got LASIK done. So now I don't have glasses, but I know one day the readers will come. That's the inevitable, right? With even LASIK.
Yeah.
But I can see so much further, so we're on like these opposite worlds where she had no glasses and now she needs readers.
No, I have got. I wear contacts.
Oh, okay.
It's my dirty little secret. I'm kidding. I have to wear contacts because my glasses are so thick. Even with the technology they have these days, my glasses are so thick that my eyes look like, in those Pixar movies where the little guy has the magnifier, that's what my eyes look like.
Coke bottle glasses is what they were called back in the day. And that was totally what my dad had, was the Coke bottle. Because it looked like that really thick glass at the bottom of a Coke bottle.
Right. But it can be hard because I've had this idea about myself, right? That I am a person who doesn't need reading glasses. And now I am a person who needs reading glasses, right? It can be hard to accept your body's changes as you're going through this. And so one of the things that I have realized about myself is I don't go on social media a lot anymore. I try not to, because I find that the messages that I get there are just too in conflict with who I think of myself as being. I don't need an outside influence to tell me what I am anymore. I'm starting to feel much more confident in my own skin, even though it is a little, crepey and saggy and whatever. I'm starting to feel better. And I think that's one of the wonderful, beautiful things that happens with women in midlife is they can stop paying attention to who they're told to be and really embrace who they want to be and who they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a very important part of becoming older and going through this change in life, because so many things do change. I mean, so let's name them. What are your top 5? I bet you have at least 5.
The top 5 things that have changed about my body in the last few years?
Yeah.
Okay. I have pubic hair on my thighs. That's like number 1. It just came out of nowhere. I was wearing shorts. We were going to someone's house and I looked down with my readers on because how else would I see them? I looked down and there were like 2 or 3 like long black curly hairs right here on my thigh. And that was shocking and embarrassing, of course.
Yeah.
Now I know that when I shave my legs, I should pay attention to that area, right? I used to be able to just get away with shaving right here. No big deal, whatever. The other thing is the readers. I've definitely noticed that my eyesight just keeps getting worse and worse. And I probably will have to have some kind of surgery at some point just so that I can still see.
Mm-hmm.
But I also am noticing my eyelid, I've always had hooded eyes, right? But this eyelid is starting to droop over so much that it is difficult for me to keep my eye open. Yeah, and might have it might be a confounding factor in the fact that this eye always waters now.
It could be, yeah.
Right? So I might have to get like the fat sucked out of this or something. I don't know how they do that. But it's starting to impede my ability to see. Right. So that's number 3. I've always had a weight issue my whole life. The only time I wasn't considered to be overweight was when I was dancing 8 hours a day minimum, and living on like 2,000 calories, which when you're dancing 8 hours a day is a caloric deficit. And I didn't look healthy then either. So I've always been overweight, but I am noticing that like things are just starting to like be a little closer to gravity than they used to be, right? Yeah. And my skin is changing for sure. I'm noticing, and it goes beyond the fine lines. I'm starting to notice that like I have breakup in like the skin texture right here, where I've had chronic rosacea right on the spot of my face my whole life, and I'm noticing that. I'm noticing the skin on my neck is starting to get a little loose right here. Yeah, those are, I think, the biggest things I've noticed about my body. The thing that drives me crazy is the eye issue. That's
it's like disrupting sleep, right? You're disrupting seeing.
Exactly.
It's very
sight is kind of important.
Yeah,
right?
Just a little.
Yeah,
just a little.
What about you?
All right, so number 1, varicose veins.
Oh yeah, I have those, but I don't even think about them.
No. So for me, they're just starting to come out. My mom has quite a bit of them. But just those things like coming out, that are just visually, oh, and I've got one like right here. So I know I shouldn't cross my legs. They say that's the biggest culprit, but I know. I cross my legs all the time. I cross my legs in the car, which is the weirdest thing. It makes the dash really messy from the bottom of my shoes. So yeah, I can't stop crossing my legs. So the varicose veins are coming. Yeah, I've always had a problem with weight, too. And I think for me, it's been where the weight has been going nowadays. So I definitely had massive stretch marks with my kids. And so, this has always just been kind of loose and wrinkly, right? Since kids. But I definitely have that like muffin top overhang belly much more substantially. And it's a lot less, it's like this loose hanging belly. I don't know. So that's been one of my things that, starting to get, I've actually been getting like when I get fat or whatever, I've noticed like saddlebags, like the little on your hips right there, the back fat, that kind of stuff. And even though my weight hasn't necessarily changed,
the distribution of it is?
It's the distribution.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like where it now wants to live and form and whatever, it's just been different than what the rest of my life has been. It felt more evenly distributed. I don't know. Let's see. Definitely getting this, that little droopy. And I would say what I've noticed that for whatever reason, when you rest your arm, you now get like this little, it's the weirdest thing to pay attention to. But, you do this it's like,
I see what you mean.
Yeah. But like, now it's got like not only do I have sagging arms here, I got like sagging arms here. I don't know. Those are the things in which my body has changed, in the upcoming years that I've noticed that are different from when, I was younger. And it's so easy to look at those things and being like, oh, I'm gross, or I don't look good anymore, or, I should be hiding myself or hiding my body, or, just even this, like, oh, I should wear long sleeves. No.
So one of the most freeing experiences I ever had in my whole life when it comes to my body and how I think about, the way I look in comparison to the supermodels that we grew up with, right? Yeah. I went to Costa Rica for the very first time. And, I was so excited and proud of myself because I'd lost like 5 pounds and I was fitting into a pair of shorts that I felt really good in. And I had a couple bathing suits that I really liked. And I got down there and I started to like suddenly second guess everything that I brought in my wardrobe, right? We got into the Airbnb and I was like, oh man, I can't go out in a bathing suit. Who do I think I am, right? As a fat person, because I think of myself as an overweight individual, to go to a beach in a bathing suit. It was a bikini, right? First bikini of my life. And I was like, who do I really think I am? Okay, so my husband, Tony, he's like, well, you didn't bring anything else. We're going to the beach. Please wear the bikini. You look fabulous.
Yeah.
So I wore it and I got the cover up and I put the shorts on and I had a big floppy hat because I just felt like I couldn't. Yeah. And I got there and there were all these other body types out there. All these women in bathing suits and bikinis and cut off shorts. And it was just this entirely different mindset culturally.
Yeah.
All these women just embracing what their body looks like, who they are right now in the moment, wearing whatever the fuck they felt like. And it was so freeing. I was like, suddenly I'm taking off the cover up and I don't need the shorts anymore. And I'm in the water and I'm having fun. And it was completely life-changing for me and eye-opening in so many ways because I realized that the only person making sure I didn't have fun on the beach that day was me.
Yeah.
Right? Ultimately, nobody around me cared. And quite frankly, if they did care, I suddenly felt like I didn't need to worry about them caring.
Yeah.
Right. And they don't care. Nobody cares. Everybody. I read this great article when I was in high school in, I think, YM magazine about this girl's prom experience and how, she felt her hair looked like helmet head. And she finally got to the prom and she was like, I realized no one cared because they were all busy worrying about themselves.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Interesting.
And that stuck with me for a very long time. Clearly, I was 14 when I read
it.
Nobody cares. They're all too busy worrying about themselves. Just go do you.
Yeah. And I think that's such an important thing and such an important message of feeling good about yourself. But also, you have to be able to ultimately make that decision, the decision you made, right?
Yeah.
Which is, I feel good. So I'm going to project what I feel, which is I feel good about myself. If you're projecting that you don't feel good about yourself, you're wearing the hat, you're wearing the cover up, you're wearing the shorts, right? You're trying to hide. And I think that in some ways too, ladies, we have to realize, to Vanessa's point, of the validation that she received from seeing all these women out there is that by us leading by example and showing other women that it's okay too, that we're giving them that reassurance that it's okay, and that comes across in so many things that we do through menopause, even the discussion of menopause, right? We've talked about this a lot, that if we want women to know about menopause, we need to talk about menopause, right? It's the same thing with body positivity, and I think, the more we are willing to do that for other women as well as for ourselves. So if you've gotten to that point where you feel good about yourself, share the love, be okay talking about it, showing that you're okay with your body, that it's good to be a woman in midlife, no matter what this looks like, because it's you.
Yeah. What it looks like, what it's doing. Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing is, talk about the changes you see. I think it's so important, especially when we talk about our daughters, to come back to this leading by example, right? To talk about not just what are your symptoms, but how are you changing both physically and mentally? How are you starting to embrace yourself and see yourself in a different light? I think that's so empowering for young women to see that, because I think, menopause kind of feels like this end of life kind of thing,
it does,
right? And the more we can talk about it, but the more we can be open about how we see ourselves changing and how we see ourselves blossoming into these women that we always hoped we would be.
Right.
I think that's really empowering for young women to see that, no, these messages that they get in media and social media are wrong, and that they see powerful women out there taking charge of their midlife and of their later years and really just having a hell of a good time.
Right. Well, and it shows that it's not the end of life, because ladies, it's not. It's the beginning of the rest of your life, right? Yes, it feels life changing, and it is, but it feels, it can feel very negative. But I think, focusing in again on the fact that you're going through this amazing change to get to the rest of your life. And yeah, it's painful right now in so many different ways and different ways for different women. But there's light at the end of the tunnel, and we have to encourage women to get through this as much as we have to encourage women and show our daughters that this is okay. And the interesting thing too, as you were talking, it reminded me that we're so critical of ourselves. When you were talking about, the other women are all worried about themselves, and so they're not paying attention to you. My daughter all the time tells me how beautiful I am, right?
Yep.
And it's so hard to realize that about yourself, and so that goes back to leading by example, because the younger generations are looking up to us. And we have to lead by example. And they see us as beautiful. So show them we're beautiful instead of correcting them and being like, no, really, I'm fat and ugly. Whatever it is that you come back, because it's that self-reflection of yourself, right? That you're projecting, and you've got to change that self-perception of yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And we know that it's hard. And we know that it takes a lot of work to get there. But we also know from talking to hundreds of other women who have gone through menopause, who are on the other side, who say it's the absolute best time of their lives, that they finally feel comfortable in their skin. They finally feel free to be themselves. As Danielle said, there's light at the end of the tunnel. And the quicker you can get to accepting your body, pubic hair on your thigh and all, right? The quicker you can get to enjoying the rest of your life. We'll see you next time.